pornirea partidei. Delgado acolo este, va fi corner, dragi ascultători.
Hello everybody, hello boys and girls. We are into another trailer discussion, another Star Wars one in less than a week because they've just dropped the trailer for Jon Favreau's bounty hunter based series, The Mandalorian. I am joined by Duncan Casey, co-owner of this channel, and we're going to talk about that for about 20 or 30 minutes, so strap yourself in for some Star Wars fun. We love Star Wars on this channel. Oh wait, no, not really, we're kind of ambivalent to it, but... So Duncan, have you got any... I mean, I've followed this a little bit. Do you have any read on The Mandalorian? Did you know about it particularly, and what are your thoughts from what you've seen today?
No, and also, well, I've kind of heard about it. I mean, basically, for me, my kind of interest, for lack of a better term, in this has been more around what the discussion about the glut of streaming services, and now the kind of Disneyfication of such things. But I was aware of it, before we get into discussing it. But I was kind of, I saw the first trailer with Varna, and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah, and Werner is back in this one doing some weighty voiceover. I think the casting choices are a good discussion to have, because there are some really interesting casting choices in this. I will say that this is the Star Wars thing that I'm interested in.
Okay.
I think of all the new Star Wars stuff, the thing I enjoyed the most was Rogue One, which was the least Skywalker related, but was still Skywalker tangential, really, because even Solo is a prequel to a character that's from the Skywalker stuff.
Yes.
I liked Rogue One. It's not perfect, but I enjoyed it the most. It's showrunner is Jon Favreau. Taika Waititi's doing an episode. There's a few kind of guest directors. Bill Burr is in it. I mean, the fact that Werner Herzog is in it is intrinsically interesting to me, because that's, strangely, German documentarian known for his kind of gravity, who has recently had a kind of renaissance playing villains in genre stuff.
Yes.
Which is very interesting to me.
The storyboard is the instrument of the coward. That was what I remember.
That's why there's a great video online you can go find, and it's Werner Herzog. Werner Herzog reads "Where's Wally?" It's like, where is Wally? We can't find him. He blends with the others, anonymous in the crowd. It's just it's so good. So stuff like that. The fact that yes, the kind of the portentous Teutonic voiceover. So he's done like Rick and Morty, he's done Jack Reacher. I mean, in recent years he's doing a ton of this kind of stuff, which is fair. Taika Waititi, Bill Burr, these are people I like very much. It doesn't seem to be particularly bothered with Skywalker related stuff. It looks like it's a kind of genuinely standalone Star Wars thing. It doesn't look like this character is going to turn out to be Boba Fett, which would be the worst, but it doesn't. I have no indication of that whatsoever. It doesn't seem to be the case. So the Disney Plus launches on the 12th of November, and this is dropping with that, along with the entirety of the back catalogue of The Simpsons, all the Marvel movies and stuff like that. So and it quite, it costs roughly the same as your other streaming services. It's annoying because it's going to fragment everything as this continues.
Well, that's certainly a broader topic of discussion that I'm sure we'll get into. I mean, in terms of the trailer itself, I think you're right. I'm 100% behind it. It's the sort of first, apart from Rogue One and possibly Solo, although I didn't see that, it's the first kind of real break with the mold as far as live action Star Wars stuff goes. Christmas special aside, of course, and this it looks like it's got the production values of a modern day Star Wars film. It certainly looks incredible just from the trailer, and getting Bill Burr and Werner Herzog. I mean, these are all brash choices that I that I like. I think that sort of decision making excites me, so I'm down, man. I mean, look, I don't have much skin in the Star Wars game. It's something I grew up with and enjoyed very much as a kid, the original trilogy. Then we kind of lived through the prequels as teenagers, and then this new run has been okay. I mean, I don't really feel one way or the other about it. I think there's been missed opportunities in certain ways and what have you, but I don't feel particularly strongly either way about it. I'm quite happy they exist, really. I mean, it's a bit of big action, big...
Yeah, sure. I got a bit of... I see that. I get a bit of stick for me hating Star Wars and whatnot, and that's not really true, but I'm definitely ambivalent about it. You know,
and it shouldn't be something. I suppose we are ambivalent. In theory, they should be big event movies that we all love, but. I mean, I guess, is it our age? Is it what? I don't know. Is it the fact that it's a combination of sci-fi and fantasy? Is that because you and I do not have a great regard for fantasy genre films? Not because we think they're bad or anything, just ain't our bag, baby.
Not the cup of tea. Yes, not my bag.
This sort of thing isn't my bag, baby. Yeah.
Swedish and larger trilogies, not my bag, baby.
So yeah, but yes, so the streaming thing, I think you're right. I think that is frustrating because obviously it's going to whip all the Marvel stuff away from the likes of Netflix and what have you. And it's certainly a topic that I have an eye on as far as all that, because I do think that, and there's the WB, isn't it? They're doing a streaming service, and everyone's starting to try and just create their own platform from which to broadcast and charge you. Which is,
and then suddenly it's like having cable television, but you're paying a fee for every single channel.
Yeah, I mean, I've posited literally over the last 2 years. I've had many ideas. I mean, I am sure, and I wish I had the kind of nous and the means to pioneer this. But the art of good business is being a good middleman, and I am sure that the next quadrillionaires are going to be made by the people who invent the subscription you can subscribe to and switch between services month to month. That's got to be how it's done, right? So, cause
I think it's going to kind of it needs to re-centralize itself through some means. Whether it will or not, I don't know. But yeah, it needs to sort of, because this does not sustain. It's the idea that everyone's going to go to Disney, then they have so much money that they buy every channel in the world, and then all things are on Disney Plus.
Well, I don't think the model, though. I mean, it's all well and good to do this, but I don't think the 12-month subscription model will work. It won't bear out, because people won't want to sign for 12 months and be locked in, because people don't have the household budgets to subscribe to everything. I mean, this is the trick I think that will be missed. It's like, no, people can't, maybe 7, 8, 10 quid or whatever a month. But if you've got 5 of those and you're spending 50 quid a month on just having streaming services, plus you've got your TV license and whatever else, Sky and yada, 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 then people just can't afford that. And so I think, the better way, what started out as the kind of democratization of media has kind of come round back on itself in a way, because it's like, I mean, I suppose it's still democratized in that they're companies, not governments, but it does feel very much like the whole kind of the USP of something like Netflix and all that was like, all this stuff now, whenever, as much as you want, just fill your face like you're at some crazy buffet, and that's slowly getting eroded because it's like, you got to pay that and you got to pay that, and actually you got to pay that, and you'll come back to the point where you just be like, well, why don't I just buy the films I want to watch and stuff the rest of it, because it's
the gravy train has rolled to a stop, hasn't it? Because I think when there was a kind of peak era, particularly with all the Marvel stuff and the Marvel series were going to Netflix and stuff like that, and even certain things owned by Disney, which included the Marvel stuff, were there. So yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I remember Amazon were kind of sneakily taking 80 quid out of people's accounts when they signed up for a free month of Amazon Prime and didn't cancel. And then they because I got mine refunded, they had refunding because I didn't sign up for a year of anything. Go fuck yourself. Like, if you're going to charge me £8 for a month I didn't sign up for, that's on me for not cancelling, fair enough. But taking a lump out, no chance. Just to return to The Mandalorian. For it is steeped in
the what
all
now?
Things Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Amanda who?
Amanda Holden.
Amanda DeLorean. Amanda Holden. I don't even have a working reference pool for Amanda Holden, apart from that she's in The Grimleys, a sitcom probably not remembered by quite a lot of this audience, because they are from other countries or young. But anyway, that is well off topic. So the Mandalorians. So Mandalorians, of course, are the race from which Boba Fett and Jango Fett come, and then there are Mandalorians in the Clone Wars show and stuff, which you haven't watched, which I understand is also supposed to be really good, but I haven't watched it. The look of Boba Fett, of course, was designed by Joe Johnston. It was originally the director, Joe Johnston, who you know from many movies. It was completely white, and that was the original Stormtrooper costume, and then they kind of rejigged it. Boba Fett first appeared in the Star Wars Holiday Special, as we know, and in this, he has the two-pronged fork thing that Boba Fett has in the Star Wars Holiday Special, which I like. That's good. That's good, deep lore. I'm all about that. I mean, the Mandalorian design is a cool design, right? Boba Fett is a character that basically everyone mythologized, but basically did fuck all. So I think bringing in a new Mandalorian character who's cool for the same reasons, but actually gets to do some stuff, I'm all for. And gunslinger Western Clint Eastwood Man with No Name type shit, cool, sweet, in the Star Wars universe, fine, cool, in with that. There's stormtroopers and stormtrooper helmets everywhere. There is a person frozen in carbonite. There is a Mon Calamari guy, which I think that's the name of the squid head people. I'm probably wrong, it's probably a different squid person. And the species that we recognise, what looks like Tatooine, but judging from the new trilogy, like all things are desert planets. Yeah, so it's oh, and an IG droid as well. So Taika Waititi's playing like the IG droid. So do you remember in Empire Strikes Back there's a droid bounty hunter it's one of these classic things. He's in the background, he's called IG-88, but you only know that if you bought the action figure.
Is the one where he's like he's gunslinging as well and spinning around.
Yeah, he's spinning around and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's and Taika's voiceover skills are very nicely used in Thor Ragnarok and the Avengers, So I mean, yeah, it's not even necessarily particularly that it's a Star Wars series that excites me. It just looks kind of cool, and I know it's got good talent behind it. So like this is the Star Wars thing, because people always talk about, oh, well, it's such a rich universe, and it's like, well, is it? Because all they ever do is do stories tangential to the kind of main timeline, part of, because even the Rebel show has like Darth Vader in it and stuff, and because I mean, if I don't want familiar characters turning up in this, I don't want that. I'm not interested in that. I want this standalone story about cool gunslinger in space, like bounty hunter in space, Western in space. I want that, please. And I don't want like, well, you've got to go and collect Darth Vader's hollow diary because it tells us what. I don't give a shit. I'm not interested. If it's about, because it's obviously set off the fall of the Empire, which is where we've got stormtrooper kind of things on pikes and whatnot.
Yeah.
If it's a kind of, a pragmatic kind of faceless gunslinger moving through the underworld in the wake of a collapsing dictatorship in space, sweet, that sounds cool. I'm all over that. I'm all about that. Cool spaceships, cool planets, exotic locales, Carl Weathers, Werner Herzog, all these people. That's cool as shit. I'm 100% on board for that. But I'm just trepidatious that it's going to end up, with them having to fucking go in a submarine to look at the Death Star, and it all ties into Rise of Skywalker because that's coming. You know what I mean? That would be so. Yeah, that would be so gutting.
Firstly, what I hope, and what it certainly appears from the trailers, is that this is the place they can afford to play effectively, or can afford to make choices that aren't by committee and aren't necessarily having to tie into that film lore. And in that regard, that's encouraging, and it seems to be that's what they're doing. I mean, I think Rogue One did do that. I know plot wise it linked up obviously to Star Wars, but I do think they were allowed to play around with it in that all the characters and stuff. We didn't have to meet a Skywalker necessarily. So I think I do think there's an appetite for that, and I do think they want to do that. And I'm fairly sure Disney want to start their own kind of canon outside of all that, because I know there was a lot made of when people were asking them about how the new films were going to reference the canon that had been established in games and in comics and stuff. There was a lot of no, none of that, it's our lore and that's it. So I wonder if this is their way of saying, okay, here's something in the universe that you get to kind of we're going to start exploring that, and why not, man? And that's how I mean, if you're smart as a showrunner, that's how you do it. That's how you get people. And bearing in mind this is now a flagship show to get people into a streaming service as well, I think it needs to be something that isn't just like, oh, all right, well, we'll find it. It's like, and at the end it's like credits. It's like that. No, none of that. I don't think so. I mean, it's hard to say, but gathering from the trailers, you've got lots of obviously Star Wars related stuff in there, like Carbonite and and all that kind of thing. But it's about bounty hunting, and so I suppose it's kind of like, well, why would it have anything to do with the rest of the Star Wars characters? I don't know.
Yeah, you would hope not. I think that's the thing. It definitely it deals obviously in the iconography of Star Wars. That's the thing, right? That's what we're selling on. So it uses all that stuff. I think taken pound for pound, looking at this trailer, It's really nicely shot and kind of the fight stuff's really nicely choreographed, the kind of gunslinging stuff. It's got, like you say, a very cinematic look. It looks very high end, and I'm gathering that this is the show we're supposed to be excited about. Which, hey, it's worked on me, and I'm the sort of evil, cynical, empty-hearted, I hate Star Wars guy. So which I don't really, but it's got this kind of high production value and it's got a lot of zip to it. I mean, again, looking at this trailer, it's using all this stuff really well, and it doesn't seem to be particularly bothered with shoving old stuff back in our faces. I have just brought up a list of directors for the show. So 8 episodes, so it's an 8-episode series, so we'll be able to plough through it. I mean, I'd be tempted to throw down for a couple of months just to watch it, to be perfectly honest. But in terms of who's directing this, some familiar names. Now, we know Favreau's not listed as a director, but I'm assuming he's doing... Well, apparently not, but he's showrunner. Dave Filoni has directed 2 episodes. Now, Dave Filoni is the boss man of the Rebels cartoon and the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon. Those are both very highly regarded. I've watched a bit of the Clone Wars cartoon. It wasn't for me. I've watched some bits of Rebels, which looks really cool, but I'm not going to sit and watch the lot. So he's kind of carried over, which is cool. Deborah Chow, who I don't know, I'm looking at her now. She's done some kind of Better Call Saul, American Gods, Mr. Robot. So kind of well regarded TV stuff. We have Bryce Dallas Howard as one
as a director.
1 episode.
Cool.
So obviously her dad directed Solo to a degree. Well, for most of Solo, let's face it, and obviously is a compatriot of George Lucas, so that's interesting. I knew she was getting into directing stuff. Taika Waititi, now I knew he was doing one and he's in it, so fine. The wild card is, and I'm gonna butcher this, Rick Famuyiwa, Famuyiwa. Apologies for butchering that name. I say wild card, I mean he's doing a job on TV directing. He's directed not a lot of stuff. Oh no, sorry, that's his producer credits. So I do apologise. So he has directed nothing I've heard of, but he's been doing stuff since 1996, so I don't know who he is. He's probably great. I don't know. It's TV directing, isn't it? So it's a different bag to film directing, and you have a kind of collaborative effort. But it's quite interesting to see. Dave Filoni, in particular, is a highly respected kind of guardian of Star Wars deep lore,
Yeah.
So that's encouraging. I'm sure to the Star Wars fans that's very exciting. Favreau is Favreau. I just think Favreau. I like him a lot. I mean that in a good way. I think he's highly competent. I don't think he's got the most flair as a director particularly, but he's a highly competent director. I really, really like the first Iron Man, not merely because it's a superhero film. Whether the first Iron Man is a legitimately interesting kind of take on that material, and obviously things like Swingers and Chef. He kind of comes from that indie sensibility.
I love Chef.
And
I think Chef's absolutely fantastic film. I really do.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It is. It's a really great movie. Really great movie.
He's good at the heartfelt stuff. I mean, he has got that kind of Spielbergian school of kind of how to tell a really human and heartfelt story. And and that's kind of what you want. I mean, actually, isn't that a great juxtaposition to the kind of, I suppose, what would you call it? The kind of the strict lure, whatever. You need someone to put that spin on it to kind of make it palatable to non-Star Warsy people. So no, I think it sounds like a great team. I mean, everyone involved sounds pretty cool, man. So I'm interested. And like you said, there's Bryce Dallas Howard, Bill Burr, all these people, all these names that you just would never have associated with a thing like this. So I'm down, man. It sounds great.
Yeah, doesn't it? I mean, that's the thing. And again, I think it's got potential to be really great on its own merits, regardless of anything else, of who's in it and who's doing it and stuff. Ming-Na Wen is in it as well, and she's cool. She's Agent May from S.H.I.E.L.D., and she was also she's done a bunch of stuff. She was Chun-Li in the original Street Fighter movie, but she's cool, so it's nice to see her in there as well. Nick Nolte as well, Carl Weathers. It's pretty crazy as a cast.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see where these are going to all fit in. I mean, Favreau is very much a Disney company man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously he was in on Iron Man before the whole Disney thing was even a whiff of a fart in a lift. You know what I mean? But he's done The Lion King for Disney, and obviously he's doing Star Wars now, and he's continued to exec produce certain Marvel films and appear as an actor in them as well. So he's kind of a company man now, and hey, fair play. I wish I was company man for Disney. Shit. You're gonna retire happy, right?
I'd happily get me into one of them their Marvel films if I could.
If anyone from Disney's listening, and you want to buy an unpopular YouTube channel.
Oh, hang on. If you want to employ a highly experienced and educated cinematographer / videographer and a very well seasoned actor, maybe let's play on our strengths, mate, rather than going straight to YouTube.
I think you should take the meeting, not me.
Yeah,
100% should take the meeting. But seriously, pound a subscriber. We'll split it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, I'm fairly excited for this as these things go, and in one way or another, I will be checking it out. I think it's how I do that. I mean, I know my cohabiter Ivan is a big kind of Marvel guy, and he might want to just get on the Disney Plus action anyway because it's going to have all the Marvel stuff on it. I don't know. But interesting. I don't know, mate. We normally run these for about half an hour. I don't know that I've got much more to say on this one.
No, I mean it's other than to say I think that the trailer is. I will say this about recent Star Wars trailers, and I include The Rise of Skywalker in this as well. They are quite vague about certain aspects, which I appreciate because I don't want too much revealed. I really don't. And in the age of internet speculation, that's a good thing. But it's also just a good thing so that I'm not walking in knowing everything. I mean, I think obviously we've spoken about Terminator trailers recently, kind of spoiling films, and Dark Fate didn't do that too much. But I mean, it has been a trend amongst the other ones, and so it's nice to see a trailer that sort of shows off its visual style, gives you a sense of the world, but doesn't really tell you an awful lot about what happens or who the characters are. And like you said, gives you that gunslinger vibe. But the narration is purposefully from a peripheral character, or maybe a central character, who knows? But someone who knows the main character rather than the main character himself, and I quite like that.
Yeah, well, I think the very nature of Star Wars stuff, it's at the very, very cutting edge of where spoilers would be considered devastating and a bad business decision.
Yes.
Because it's an arena into which such things are so sensitive. And with the Star Wars stuff, it's NDAs for days. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. People are signing, not allowed to discuss this stuff. People have embargoes from sets. You're not allowed to have recording equipment around it. All of this, it's so locked down. So they kind of have to be vague, really. Which again, I'm fine with. Give me a flavour of what this is going to be like. Give me a sense of its look. Give me a sense of its tone, how it's going to sound, how it's going to be performatively. But don't tell me that the Mandalorian has an anus for a face, and when he poos out of it, an egg comes and Luke Skywalker crawls out. I don't know. I was freestyling there. I don't think it went particularly well. It falls into that kind of flavour of stuff, absolutely, and there's not a lot really to be done about that, but I'm happy because it means we're not getting spoiled, and in 10 weeks time everyone will have watched it, will have known what the score is, and exactly what's going on. But this seems to be the one to watch as far as Disney Plus goes, because obviously they've got the back catalogue and whatnot, which should include all the Fox stuff as well, and there's been a lot of talk about that in the press recently, about how they've been putting their 35 mils of Fox films into a vault, because there are quite things such as Fight Club or whatever, and Fox movies, because Fox of course stretches all the way back to the golden age of Hollywood. They're making it difficult for people to exhibit Fox movies because they want you to watch them on Disney Plus, which is really shit if true. But with ownership of the Fox, I mean, it would be one thing with the Disney back catalogue, and the Marvel back catalogue is about 10 years old. Admittedly, there are other older things that I'm sure are included, but the Disney back catalogue stretches all the way back to the 1930s. The Fox catalogue even further, and things that are very kind of proto-classical stuff. Really important films, and if that is what it is, I mean, and the Fox television stuff as well. So I mean, what could potentially be available on Disney Plus is unbelievably vast.
Yes.
It's unbelievably vast. And if this is the gateway drug to that, okay, fine. But then really, and I'm not saying this is a good thing because the kind of sketchy monopoly of shit, but like, if the Disney Plus thing, it has essentially this insane cross-section of film history just sat in it. That's pretty incredible. You know, unfortunately, the way we got there isn't great, and what it means for the future of distribution and exhibition potentially also not great. But
it concentrates too much power. I mean, power being in this case films, but you know what I mean. Like it concentrates too much sort of. It does. I mean, then that's a problem. I mean, having decried the many streaming services problem, I also have to say that putting them in all the eggs in one basket is not preferable either.
Never a great idea. Never a great idea. Yeah, well, there you go. That's the. Thanks for tuning in to this.
Just put that out there.
Well, you know, I might relabel this video a discussion of the grim dystopian future. I mean, perhaps be a more honest version of it. Yeah. But I don't know. Who knows? So I think, well, that's 25 minutes. You know, we padded that out a bit with pessimism, so that's fun. We hope you enjoyed this. Welcome to Val Verde Broadcasting. If you're new, we know that we've had a bit of a gangbusters week in terms of our numbers. So over 100 of you joined us over the weekend. So welcome aboard if you're new to this.
Thank
Probably
you.
Should have put that in the front, but you know, whatever. We're pretty happy about that, aren't we?
Yes. Indeed. Yes.
Big numbers for us.
Corporate, yeah.
Buy us, Disney, buy us. Speaking of buying things, if you look in the description, you can find a link to our Redbubble store for merch. We have PayPal for tips. We have Patreon. We do not expect anyone to support us, but we are very, very, very grateful to those of you who do, because it helps keep the lights on. You can see all that in the description below. We have a bunch of social media stuff going on as well. You can follow, like, subscribe, do what you like. I'm not your dad. Duncan, any final thoughts on Disney Plus, Star Wars, The Mandalorian episode, The Mandalorian?
No, none really from me. I'll be interested to see how things react to it and whether or not I feel compelled to sign up to it, which I probably will, annoyingly. But yes, no more thoughts from me. Yeah, bye.
All right, gang, that's your lot. New videos every Monday, and then odd ones on Wednesdays as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Goodbye. Support your 7th or 8th favourite YouTube channel by buying crap, tat, junk, hogwash and filth at redbubble.com/people/Val Verde Shop.